Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Splat Grind, because the Splat Grind stops for no one, not even ink brushes who can actually get splats. Today I'm going to tell you my Splatoon 3 highlights from the past week. April 22nd. You know how I was talking yesterday about the next rotation being one random weapon? Well, today's that day. At least we're not going to have two Grisco sloshers, that would be a nightmare. The first wave I had the splatter shot at low tide. As I may have mentioned in the past, Godfish and Hydro Plant at low tide is not kind to me. There are no high points and there are so many places where you can fall in the water. I don't remember anything specific about this wave, just a general sense of unease. We survived anyway. As the next wave began, I was thinking we can't have low tide twice, right? It was low tide again, and I had the Gluga dualies. The first boss was a stinger right down the middle. When I went to start shooting it, some lessers got in the way and decided to use me as a piñata. Once they got all the candy out of me, someone else shot the stinger most of the way down. They revived me and we beat it together. The salmonids were blocking us from the basket too, so it was hard getting eggs in even if we had them. That's when the fly fish came in. I had a booyah bomb, so I was the team's best bet at beating this thing. I tried to get close to it, but then I get bonked in the water by something or other. When I get revived, then I deployed the booyah bomb. Took a long time to charge it because apparently my teammates don't care about booyahing. I throw my booyah bomb and run. I noticed the fish stick that was dropped by the basket, which I sort of assumed my teammates had taken care of, but had one fish left on it. I make my way up there and start trying to shoot it. That's when a fly fish targets me. Did a second one come in? And that's when I realized I missed. We were wiped out with 9 eggs out of 12. I decided to go in again, like I do. It's not like I'll get only low tide today, right? The first wave, I get the Grisco slosher, or as I like to call it, a slow, clunky piece of junk. And also it was Mothership, which after yesterday left me feeling great. Doing anything was nigh impossible. It takes a full second for the thing to attack, and 2 attacks is enough to deplete my ink tank. I might have been able to beat 1 Chinook, and when the Mothership came in, by the time I had my ink tank filled and pressed ZR, it was gone. It's a good thing my teammates were on top of the egg grabbing game because I was about as useful as a rock. The second wave, I had the Squiffer, and it was a normal wave. I spent the wave alternating between actually charging up and all tap shots all the time. Because of Godfish's plentiful high points, I could shoot at a fish stick from the side. As two of my teammates joined in, and none of us actually got on top, but we still beat it. Another fish stick came in on the other side, but there was a steelhead next to it, throwing bombs everywhere. If I were to beat that fish stick safely, I'd have to beat that steelhead, except steelheads aren't my strong suit. There's only one thing I could do. One shot it with a full charge. That's the last time you'll ever see me snipe anything. We made it out alive, and in the third wave I had the splatter shot at low tide. What's worse is we had 2 chargers. Just kidding, one of them disconnected, which is really, really worse. The first boss was a scrapper, and then a Moz. I was trying to stay out of the way of the Mozzle trying to splat the scrapper, and then a Quahog comes in, hits me into the scrapper's back, and all of a sudden the game's telling me I had been splatted by a scrapper? Dude, it was the Quahog's fault. While I was waiting to get revived, that's when a second scrapper came in. I'm pretty sure we got them all beat, but there were so many bosses and only 3 us. Our quota was only 10. Even that was a struggle. I was out there outrunning a Drizzler Storm, probably another scrapper, maybe also a steelhead, just trying to pick up eggs and throw them in the basket. One of them bounced off a ram. We got our 10 eggs. 2 of us died. It was up to the last person to survive for those last 4 seconds, and we made it out with 56 eggs out of 33. They really should reduce the number of bosses when there's a disconnect. Do you really expect 3 people to fight all this? April 24th. Getting back to trying out new weapons in Turf War. When looking for good Rainmaker weapons, I saw an article suggesting the Dually Squelchers, the N-Zap, and the Heavy Splatling. I tried the Dually Squelchers, I tried the N-Zap. I kept using the N-Zap because once you go N-Zap, you never go back. Then I remembered I never tried the Heavy Splatling, but I tried the Mini Splatling first, and once you go Mini, you never go back. Still, I'm going to bite the bullet and use the Heavy Splatling. My holding ZR while firing technique could still work, and the firing duration is longer, so now I don't have to charge 15 times to splat someone. The first battle was on Inkblot Art Academy, and I was prepared to lose, especially since the other team had Mika the Splatana Wiper, Simotonin the Splatter Shot, and Enzo 508 the Splat Charger. Let's hope they're a bad sniper. As I would learn over the course of this battle, when your enemy team is good at splatting, it becomes harder to charge while firing and easier to just run on instinct, and I learned which doesn't always work. What's worse is that in the last minute, Simotonin got on our base, and I learned that getting 4 hits is way easier to do on a dummy than on a splatter shot main with legs that just won't quit. I am talking about speed here. At the 30-second mark, I realized it didn't matter whether Enzo508 was a good sniper because they had bad internet and disconnected. We won by 12%. The second battle was on Flounder Heights. Getting home base covered was easy. It was the rest of the battle that was a challenge, and my instinct was at full force. The worst part of the enemy team was Inksomniac. Inksomniac was an ink brush main. I know how to deal with ink brush mains. I am one. What I didn't expect is for them to get 9 splats in 3 minutes, and if hitting that splatter shot was hard, imagine if that person had an ink brush. My biggest achievement in this battle was picking up on the entire enemy team with one wave breaker, and then picking up on them with my eyes as they charged towards me. It was a one-sided beatdown. We lost by ouch %, just as I expected. I don't trust ink brushes who are good at getting splats. They're doing something illegal. The third battle was on Inkblot Art Academy. Not only was Inksomniac on the other team again, but they also had an Octokid, the Dynamo Roller. Luckily, they cancel each other out and hopefully they cancel each other out and absolutely suck. My salvation would have to come in the form of the Dynamo Roller disconnecting, so now the battle's done. The third battle was on Flounder Heights, and not only was Inksomniac on the other team, they also had Octokid, the Reflux. This was a different Octokid. This one is capitalized, the other one was not. They only used Tenta missiles once and died immediately afterwards. This one did start out stressful because they were getting on our base. I decided home base was lost. I'd have to go to their side. Unfortunately, Inksomniac was over there. I'd have to keep my distance, and if they saw me, I was gone. Amazingly, I wasn't gone, and they were. They didn't die. They were just on our side the next time I respawned. This also ended stressful because, well, I'm using a heavy splatling, a weapon which I had never picked up before, and the other team was trying to play the spawn camping game. Amazingly, we won by 8%, and I got 4 splats to 4 times splatted, which is better than my heavy splatling track record. This is a good weapon, but it's not worth using if it's going to make my blood pressure this high. I got 748 points, 748 again, and then 768. So it's not the best at turfing, but it sure is consistent. April 25th. Today's salmon run rotation is supposed to be super fresh. I don't understand how anything can be considered super fresh when it has a nozzle nose, but I'll make it work. The first wave, I had the ballpoint splatling at high tide. I was at my spot atop the tower when, oh look, high tide just had its first victim. Anyway, I was trying to use my technique of holding ZR mid-fire, but it didn't work because you can charge the ballpoint mid-fire. I was so confused that I resorted to the technique of just shoot things. What I've learned today is that I figured out the mini, but not the ballpoint. Also, you can kill chumps by throwing eggs in a basket. It isn't just something you can do in the training room. The second wave, I had the nozzle nose at normal tide. For the next 100 seconds, I just have to nozzle survive. On the bright side, the non-automatic fire made it easier to shoot down a fish stick from beside it. That's about it. The third wave, I had the jet squelcher and the lights were going down. I was hoping, please don't be grillers, but I guess it was bound to happen eventually. At least I had the range to shoot it without putting myself in immediate danger. Once a griller was beat, I'd focus on getting the eggs to the basket and clearing away any small fries trying to nip at my feet, because I'm not dying to those preschoolers. However, I might have died to them once or twice, and we might have been down to one person with 5 seconds left, and if we had died to grillers in the third wave with 5 seconds left, I would have been so mad. Luckily, we won with 59 eggs out of 37. I decided to go in again. The first wave, I had the ballpoint splatling at low tide. The wave 1 quota was 13 as opposed to the last run's 11, but there's a scrapper coming towards me so I could shoot it head on. Boom, 3 eggs down. I also managed to bomb out a fly fish with a triple link strike, but when the second one came in, I decided to save my last one. We just survived for the last 10 seconds. The second wave, I had the jet squelcher at high tide. Luckily, we didn't have any quick victims. We did, however, make the mistake of stunning a scrapper with its back against the wall, and we just had to ignore it and focus on something else. I guess it came back to hit me while I was by the basket, or was that just a different scrapper? Then the third wave came. I had the Splooshomatic on normal tide. Aw yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. However, this was still the hardest wave with the constant stream of maws lurking around the basket. Actually, it might have been 2, but that's the same to me. So while we were in the final 30 seconds trying to fight off 2 maws and a steelhead and a drizzler and a slamming lid, I noticed there was 1 egg that somehow hadn't made it into the basket, so I just dove towards the slamming lid and the cluster of lessers next to it. I grabbed the egg and got splatted by the drizzler's inkstorm. We had 1 player left with 5 seconds left, but they were able to survive long enough to make it out alive with 72 eggs out of 43. I like that you can see on Splatnet how we spammed our specials at the end of Wave 3. Or maybe that was only me spamming my special and they used theirs for useful things. April 27th. Today is a turf war day, and since I'm done trying out new weapons, normally this is where I'd resume my journey to get 5 stars on the ink brush. But I absolutely blasted the competition with the mini Splatling last week, and I want to try something. When I was starting out in Splatoon 2, I miraculously got an 11 win streak with the ink brush, and that's when I decided this is the weapon. Now, if I find a weapon I really like, I think if it's such a great weapon, I should be able to get 12 wins with it. I've tried it with the ink brush Nouveau. It failed. I tried it with the NZAP 85. It failed. Is it an unrealistic request of me? Yes. Am I going to try it anyway? Heck yeah. As it turns out, I only got 2 wins with the Zinc Mini, so I'm just going to say my current win streak is 3. The first battle was on Manta Maria. The battle started out great. I had my Ultra Stamp so I could just bam, bam, bam across the center. Bella had her Ultra Stamp so she could bam, bam, bam across the center, flattening almost everyone. For some reason, when I have the Ultra Stamp on Manta Maria, my first instinct is to charge on enemy base. Anyway, I think we had 1 minute and 50 seconds left when someone on our team disconnected, and suddenly my faith in being able to win this battle went down. You might be great at Splatoon, but Nintendo's internet is always worse. I usually expect the battle to turn in the other team's favor, but it never happened. I made it halfway through the battle before getting ambushed by a crack-on roller. Might have been a 3v4, but we were able to squeeze out a win by 27%. Best 3v4 ever. And I got 4 splats to 3 times splatted. I wondered how a team could lose a 3v4 that badly when I checked the stats and saw that the enemy's top splatters had 2 each, and on our side, Bella was smacking people willy-nilly with her Splatana wiper. So maybe there is hope for me. Let's keep going. The second battle was on Manta Maria. This one felt like a closer game, especially since Bella was on the other team smacking people willy-nilly. However, they only got 4 splats this time, and I managed to splat them at least twice. One of those times from a distance, I didn't think the mini Splatling could reach. I once again Ultra Stamped to the enemy base and managed to make it at least 30 seconds. The only thing that stopped me from covering everything in sight was someone on my team using a Booyah Bomb, and I sent a few Booyahs their way. Then, as a precautionary measure, I Ultra Stamped off of enemy base, which is when I noticed that they made it to our side. We were able to squeeze out a win by 4%, and I got 1,141 points and 6 splats to 2 times splatted. This time, the enemy's top splatters got 4 each, which is a drastic improvement, but the other 2 people still had the default banner, default title, and default clothes, which might have been why they lost. The third battle was on Manta Maria. Bella was on my side again, as was Cow and 8. That feels inappropriate, but I don't know why. At the beginning, I tried to be the person who gets home base cover, but Bella seemed to be doing that for me. Thanks, Bella. I wish I could wipe a Splatana like you. Anyway, you know what it is. Ultra Stamp across the center, wind up on enemy base, try to survive, succeed in surviving? I think what finally got me was the Splat Roller, and even then it was a trade, so it benefits me as well. I've also got to live out my dream of splatting a Zipcaster. This is what happens when I get a range higher than 0 and shots that don't land literally everywhere. Anyway, we ended the battle with a raid on enemy base and won by 33%. The enemy's top splatter had 5, but the others had 0, 1, and 1, so there it is. So I'm at 6 wins, amazingly. I don't know what it is. Are my opponents bad, or am I good? I just know that the more I win, the more it's gonna suck when I finally lose. April 28th. So voting open for the Splatfest, I picked Wisdom, even though it's going to tank in popularity, but that just means we won't get any mirror matches. The blue and purple teams have run 4 out of 6 Splatfests, and also Fry's Baby. Today's Salmon Run rotation ranks a 7 on the pain scale, and it's got the Hydra, so let's play some Ranked instead. I haven't played Ranked in a hot while. Splat Zones is the name, and Splatting the Zone is the game. I'm using the Aerospray RG this time because I don't want to ram my Reef Slider into that stupid tower in the middle of Inkblot Art Academy. The first battle was on Inkblot Art Academy, and that stupid tower is still there, which means I had the right idea. We got the zone first, but the other team would not take that sitting down. One of them always seemed to be around the corner. A couple coordinated triple ink strike and ink storm drops from Splash and Sniper gave us control for a while. We only made it down to 70 though. On my first Booyah Bomb, I escaped getting splatted by 2 people and then realized not only does the stupid Inkblot Art Academy tower stop Reef Sliders, it stops your visual when throwing your Booyah Bomb. I threw it at my feet and splatted no one. The second time I got splatted in that brief window before the vulnerability kicks in. The third time my vision was blocked by that same tower, so this time I overshot it. I missed the zone completely, but I did splat that Dapple Doolies user who was giving me trouble. After the 2-minute mark, I knew it was too late for us, but we could probably make it the whole 5 minutes. Oh wait, someone on our team disconnected. Well, we were getting knocked out, and we did in 4 minutes and 3 seconds. But I got 1,049 points. All three of us broke 1,000. How did we lose? I guess we did lose Jar midway through the battle, but I don't think they knew where the zone was anyway. The second battle was on Eeltail Alley. The battle started great for us. We had the whole zone covered, so it was up to the rest of the team to keep the enemies away while I stayed behind covering up any un-orange spots. And then at the 15-point mark, the enemy team came at us with the Ink Storm Booyah Bomb combo. Then we didn't know what to do. I just had to survive, and I kind of failed. Our salvation would have to come in a double Booyah Bomb at the last minute. My Booyah Bomb landed right in the middle of the zone. My Hydra Splatling Buddies landed all the way over there. We did get knocked out in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, but I got splatted the second least, so go me. The third battle was on Inkbot Art Academy, and my team had an all-shooter comp. Hopefully the Jet Squelcher would complement the Splooshomatic, and the high damage of the 52 Gal would make up for the general flimsiness of my arrow spray. We had the zone first, but that's when the enemy team came in. I saw someone coming around the corner and thought I could splat them, but they spotted me first, proving that just running at people is a gameplay style that the aerospray's range cannot support. I could not set foot in the zone without dying. I think their Splat Charger sniped me through the corner of that stupid Inkblot Art Academy tower. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and one overshot Booyah Bomb later, we lost again. I say we as if I haven't changed teammates every time. But like I said, I haven't played ranked in a hot while. Well, thank you for listening to the Splat Grind, and be sure to come back for even more Splatoon craziness. Where is